I've eaten spaghetti and kind of like spaghetti from time to time, but I had not heard until recently of Spay-ghetti, and we're joined this morning by two individuals who are a part of this program, and Sonia Chandler and Mitzi Smith. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. Good morning.
Exactly what is Spay-ghetti?
Well, Spay-ghetti is our first fundraiser as the Feral Dogs of Avondale Mills and Friends of Sylacauga Animal Shelter. We recently became incorporated in July of 2017. Just a group of women right now and one man who love animals, care about animals, and saw a need in this town, and we just formed this organization so we could step in and assist. So the purpose of our Spay-ghetti dinner is to raise funds to help assist lower the cost of spay and neuter certificates for people.
Okay. Mitzi, where did the name Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill and Friends of Sylacauga Animal Shelter come from?
Okay, originally there was a group, Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill, and they're the ladies that went into, after the Avondale Mill closed, they went in and tried to clean up the roaming animals that were left behind as people moved out and left their dogs behind. And I think to date they've moved over 200 dogs out of the mill village in Sylacauga and into rescue.
What is considered feral dogs?
A homeless dog, basically. They don't necessarily, in my opinion, have to be feral or aggressive or mean or anything like that. It's just a homeless dog.
You know, when we look at this dinner, and I see from time to time where people have lost their pets, pets have gotten away from them, and they're normally turned to the animal shelter to find that animal. You guys are a part of all of this, the Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill and Friends of Sylacauga Animal Shelter. Talk a little bit about the shelter itself.
Well, the Feral Dogs at Avondale Mills and Friends of Animal Shelter is a completely separate entity from the animal shelter. The animal shelter is funded and run by the city, and they are doing a phenomenal job. I mean, the shelter staff out there is caring and loving, and they do everything in their power to reunite pets with their owners. And they also do a great job of adopting out. And where we really come in more so is we assist, especially Mitzi, and I'm gonna let you speak a little bit more to this, but Mitzi and Carolyn and Ron Morse are two of the founding members of this organization. They have rescue connections. So as the Feral Dogs of Avondale Mills organization, we have actually moved over 1,100 dogs just last year into rescues out of state. And then we
1,100?
1,100, yes sir. There were over 1,900 dogs and cats surrendered to the shelter or picked up by animal control. And
that's mind-boggling.
It is. And I don't think people realize the gravity of the situation. Because to see that number, it is mind-boggling. And so, again, the purpose of the Spay-ghetti dinner is also for us to try to educate people on the importance of spaying and neutering. It's crazy how many cats and dogs can come from just a single unspayed or unneutered female. So that's where we've kind of stepped in to try to help with the shelter. Like I said, we are just an adjunct to them.
Okay. Mitzi, what about the dinner? Talk about that a little bit and when it's going to be taking place.
It's going to be this Thursday night at the Oak Grove Senior Center, and it's going to be from 5:30 to 7:30, and we're doing a spaghetti plate. They'll have spaghetti, salad, bread, dessert, and a drink. You can come in, purchase it that night, or you can get tickets from the Sylacauga Animal Shelter in advance. But you can get it to go, or you can sit down and dine in with us, whichever you prefer. And the $10 for the plate, it's all going to our mission. The month of February is actually Spay-Neuter Awareness Month.
Yes.
Okay. Spaying and neutering. For those who are not animal people, explain that.
That is simply a medical procedure, has to be done by a vet, of course, and it just stops the animals from being able to reproduce, stops the male animal from being able to sire, to father more puppies, and it prevents the mother from being able to have puppies. So, and that's really the root of the issue, because as happy as we are that we've been able to help 1,100 dogs and cats be moved into rescues to be adopted, that is kind of a temporary fix. And what we need is to stop the issue at the root cause, and that is the reproduction. And sometimes people will say that the cost of spaying and neutering is prohibitive for them. But when you weigh that against the cost of if you're taking basic care of your animals, vetting and spaying and neutering at a later point, and just their basic medical care and food, it's much less expensive to spay or neuter than to take care of an animal for just 1 year. So it's very cost effective in the long run. Plus the fact spaying and neutering also greatly reduces health issues in females and males both. We've seen this with the shelter where, again, we've kind of picked up and taken on some extra responsibilities with 2 dogs in particular just in the past month or so that have had female issues that had to be surgically corrected with major funds involved that we stepped in and paid for, but would have been prevented had these females been spayed.
How is these procedures paid for? I mean, like the 2 you talked about.
We raise funds. We have a Facebook page, and so we'll put it out there that Macy has had this happen to her. The shelter is run by the city. The city has a budget. They can't afford vet bills for emergencies and such as that. The shelter itself is not a veterinarian. It does not have one on staff. They cannot do what veterinarians can do. So the shelter will call feral dogs and say, we have this issue. We have mammary tumors that are bleeding on this female dog. Can you get her to a vet? And so one of our volunteers will pick the puppy up, take it to one of our participating vets, and do the surgery, and then we post pictures on our Facebook page. This is Macy, this is her issue, this is going to cost this much, could you please donate? And so far, we've had wonderful support in donations.
We see in the downtown area of Sylacauga, oftentimes we see dogs and cats just running rampant.
Right.
In the community, and the spaying and neutering program would be great if we could corral them all up.
It certainly would. And spaying and neutering, even if you don't own an animal, the overpopulation problem does affect you because, just like Mitzi indicated, the city funds the shelter. That comes from tax dollars. So even if you don't own an animal, part of your tax dollars still goes out to the shelter. And I think it just touches the heart of anyone that's around a cat or a kitten or a dog or a puppy, and the last thing they want to see is the dog or cat euthanized, and that's always the biggest fear that people have. If they for some reason, if they absolutely must surrender their animal, or even the cute little dogs on the road that nobody even claims but gets surrendered to the shelter. That's a sad thing. And in Proverbs, it tells us the righteous man cares for the needs of his animals, and we see ourselves fulfilling that duty. And there are so many people in Sylacauga that care. And like I said, the shelter staff is just been beyond great. I mean, if you go to our Facebook page and check out the pictures, you'll see just how much they love them and care for them. But we do still need volunteers. We still need lots of people to step in and help because we are a growing organization and we're looking for more people to come on board. We need fosters. We need transport drivers to do short-term and even long-term drives.
Now, how long has this been going on, this program?
Well, we incorporated it July of 2017, so not even
a year.
Not even a year. But this process was going on for almost 2 years prior. But we just became officially a 501c3 so as that we could...
So that our donors could write off their money they were donating.
Yes.
Now, is there a problem in our community with families moving to other cities or moving to another part of town and leaving their animals behind?
Yes.
How can we alleviate that?
They usually wind up at the shelter, unfortunately. This is the problem. The animal shelter takes in over 200 cats, dogs, puppies, kittens a month. There is no way they can adopt that many out in a month's time. That's why we stepped in a year or so ago and started trying to pull them out and pull them into rescues.
That's right.
The numbers.
You know, the sad answer to some of what you're talking about, if you've got all these animals and you can't adopt them all out, you know, they have to be euthanized, I guess. Or put under, or...
Well, and again, I will say, between the efforts of our group trying to network with rescues and move them to different rescue organizations that do have a high adoption rate, and they truly do all they can at the shelter to keep those dogs. So people get also very concerned that it is a kill shelter or a no-kill shelter. I would say our shelter is almost kind of neutral. It is not a no-kill shelter. That means if you are no-kill, that means that every animal that comes in is not put down unless it's just completely, you know, unless it's in the animal's best interest. But neither are they a kill shelter in that animals are brought in, they are on their 7-day hold, and then immediately put down. That shelter staff truly fights for every single animal that comes in. I mean, they are a caring bunch, and I would strongly like to encourage anyone to go down and visit the shelter and see the great things that they're doing. I also want to mention, Mitzi just said that over 200 dogs and cats and kittens and puppies are brought in every month. Just this past month, January alone, there have already been, what'd you say, over 100?
101 puppies under 8 weeks of age.
Goodness.
Brought in. That's not including your 3-month, 4-month, 6-month, and a year old and up. Just 8 weeks old and under 101 puppies in 30 days.
And they need special care.
Yes.
Yes.
Goodness. How did the Spay-ghetti theme start? And let's talk about, again, the dinner, and how's the response been for this?
I believe that was Carolyn's brainchild. Carolyn Morse, who is the founder of this whole organization. And it's just a fun little play, obviously, on spaghetti,
Sure.
Obviously with the intent of getting the word out. So this was her brainchild, and we've had people from literally all over the United States donate. We do have an Amazon wish list. We do have a Walmart wish list. And so people have gone there, bought, purchased, has been shipped directly to another board member's home, Terry Brooks. And so we've just gathered this, and that saved us money so that more money from the ticket sales can go directly to the spay and neuter program.
So the meal itself, Mitzi, go over that again. It's going to be Thursday, I understand?
Yes, Thursday at 5:30.
And what's going to be on the menu other than spaghetti?
Spaghetti, salad, bread, dessert, and a drink.
And $10, is that correct?
$10, and tickets are available at the Sylacauga Chamber of Commerce, at the Sylacauga Animal Shelter, and at 280 Animal Medical Center in Westover.
Okay. With us this morning is Sonia Chandler and Mitzi Smith from the Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill and Friends of the Sylacauga Animal Shelter, and continued success. And I know that the animal shelter is always in need of supplies and food and that kind of thing for the animals there. And with you guys working together, and supporting the animals in our community, it's got to have a bright future, and we applaud all of y'all for what you do, and thank you for coming this morning.
Thank you for having us.
We got more Daybreak on the other side of this timeout. It's about a minute before the top of the hour, 26 degrees.